we are live today on day 13, and what I have right in front of me is a tree swing. Basically, I just wanted to call it fondant swing. That's what I've written in the list. But I'd used Anna's modeling paste in this, so it is not made of fondant, but you can make it with fondant as well, with gum paste or with modeling chocolate. It depends. You can use the paste that you have to make the swing. So this one is not going to swing. Basically, I just tried different ways, so this one is not going to swing because it's just rigid there, and it's just hung up there. But yesterday when I told, I said let's just get the penguins sitting there. I didn't stick it because I wanted to take a picture without. So let me just see if the penguins can sit and if it is going to take the weight. There's a turntable. Okay, so that's how it is going to look. Finally, if you have the dolls or anything that you want to sit on it. Okay, so I'm going to remove this up and then put another entire new dummy, and it's just set on a dummy. It's not even covered with fondant. Just the top, I've done some grass effect and all that. So I'll just show up the tools and all that stuffs that you need. Okay, and then let's just start up. Okay, so I'm just gently removing this guy. So finally, when we make it, that needs some drying time. I'm not sure if this can sit on the one that we'll be making it during the live, but we can just try. Okay, so I'm putting the penguins aside. Okay, I'm going to remove this one of the frame for time being. I'll bring it back a little while later. Okay, so I am going to set this on a dummy. So I have a dummy with me. Okay, now this is what we are going to do. Okay, and then the next thing that you need, the most important thing, which is the tree trunk itself, is this copper wire. Okay, so this you get in the electrical shops. Okay, and this is not easy to bend. Okay, so I'm just trying to bend with good amount of pressure. Okay, it's like this. So it's not easy to bend, and if I'm just going to hold it like that, it's going to stay unless there is a heavy weight here, and whatever you're poking it into, if that is not sturdy enough, then it could slant. It could slant because it is not going to bend here. Okay, this is as sturdy. So what will happen, if you don't find this now, so this is there in electrical shops. Okay, and you can ask for copper wire, and the thickness of this copper wire could be like half a centimeter or even lesser than that. Okay, you can see the thickness of the copper wire. Okay, so if they are asking for a thickness, if you go to an electrical shop, you can just tell them that you should be able to bend it in your hands like that and get a shape, and then also put it back into the shape that you feel like you want. But maybe you'll not be able to like make it like really straight and without all the waves, but you can put it back into the shape with pressure, and they'll just stay like that. So this is something that you need. What if you do not have at the moment and you want to try? You can try a smaller version, but what you can use is use the thickest wire, at least 18G, but 18G will not hold the weight. So what you can do, use 5 to 6 18G and tape them together. Okay, using floral tape them together, and that will become thicker, and then use that in place of this. Okay, so this is what you need. And then for the swing, what I had used is another set of copper wires. So this is, I had this. What you can use your floral wires, which is 26G, 24G. Yes, you can use. I'm just getting some scissors. Harshi, so this was thinner, and because I have quite a good amount, the quantity is good enough, I'm going to use this, and it is long enough for me, and it is going to allow me to have it as long as I want. So that is one thing that will be essential to make the swing part hanging from the tree trunk. Okay, so but if you have the 18G, what will happen? You might have to join a lot of 26G, the thinner ones. You might have to join of quite a few of them to get a long wire. Joining them is like, say, suppose, let me just show you. Say suppose you do not have this copper wire that I'm having. See, these are the floral wires, right? And there are two there. Okay, so you want them longer, right? You want them longer, and that is why I'm using this, the copper wire. Say suppose you don't have them longer, so you bring the two ends together, like maybe an inch of it is meeting. You can start and tape the both together until the wire joins at the ends and becomes longer. So this tape will all get hidden, right? So this is the one end of that wire, the ends where we have attached, and then it's just getting longer. So you want it still longer, then you attach the. Okay, so in place of the copper wire, you can use this. But if you have copper wire, then you don't have to do this joint stuff. Okay, so the copper wire, and as long as I like to use. Okay, so that's quite long. I'll tell you how that needs to be attached. Okay, so copper wire, and then what I have with me is this foil tape. This foil tape is this new thing. It's been there in the Western countries, but here that is the aluminium foil. Okay, but okay, so just a moment. So, but we have started getting these foil tapes. So, foil tapes, what is the advantage of using foil tapes is, it has the tape, the adhesive is there behind, okay, and then you can peel the foil tape and it sticks here. There is glue here. But if you use just the aluminium foil, if you want to wrap it around, it will not stick for you. It just do what the foil will do. It can just get crushed, but it may not stick well. So I had bought this from Amazon quite some time back. But if you do not have it right now with you, doesn't matter, you can use the aluminium foil itself. Okay, doesn't matter, but you just need to make sure that you are crushing it well, and so it really sticks together. Okay, so I also have these, the twines, the ropes. But this one I had just used to have the, I'll just show you. Okay, so this is the swing, right? This one has wire inside, and I have added the modeling paste on top of it. So just in case you don't want to do this wire stuff, and if it is okay for you to have this non-edible stuff, this can be hung from the top and they can be attached to the bottom, and this itself can be the rope, as long as it is okay for you to have a non-edible stuff. So in that case, we will not be following this logic at all. I also have, to just show you. So there are twines and these ropes which can be used for having it over this trunk part, but that stuff is going to be non-edible, and if it is okay, you can do that. So I'm just putting that aside because I'll not be using it anyway. So I'm just going to get another dummy. Okay, so that will be the dummy, and so that's the the thicker copper wire. I'm going to poke it inside. So how much can you poke it inside? So I would suggest you poke it inside to the entire length of this dummy. So when you're bending it, what will happen, if you just poke just a little bit, just this much inside, it will not have the stability and it will just try and slant later on, which you don't want. So this much is going to go inside the dummy. Okay, so how much do you want the tree trunk to be, and how much, from where do you want the bend to happen? So I'm just measuring it here. Okay, so this much will go inside my dummy, this much I want outside for my tree trunk. So from here I just want to bend. Here also you need to check, you want to make your penguins sit and see how wide you want their the seating to be. You can place them like this, but if it is stout, if you think that they have to be facing a little closer to each other, so you can just save some space, you can just turn them around like that. Okay, so this wide has to be your seating. So do you have that much width here on the top from where you have to bend, or or you can reduce the height of the tree trunk. Okay, so I'm just going to start from here. So this is the width, right? So the place where the two hanging of the swing is going to come is also going to be within this. So I'm just giving a little extra here. So much of seating is needed. That is only if you have to put the both together. If that doesn't matter, you can just have the girl sit here comfortably if the wire is not enough, and then just give a position of just this much. Only one thing can sit. A teddy bear can sit. It just totally depends on how you want to make the swing. Okay, so from now that positioning is done, here I'm just bending it. I'm holding this part straight. It has to be difficult to bend. If it is easy, then maybe it will not hold the weight, and you can better have it straight. Okay, so that is the shape. I'm putting inside all through in. Okay, so that will be the first step. The second step will be to get that thinner wire. Okay, so that's the thinner wire, right? What I have with me is like quite long. It's just it's quite long because I just want a very sturdy structure. So I'm just going to start from here. So from here is where, so this is going to start hanging for me from here. Okay, but if you think the tree trunk you want it to be a little wider, then start from here, but then you need to be sure that you need to have the seating position if in case you want to have both the penguins, or just forget about the penguins, maybe we'll just focus on the swing. Okay, so I've just hooked once, and then I'm just going to keep rolling it till the place I want it to hang. So that will be my both ends. Okay, so from here, this can be close or this can be far away. We'll just stick them all with the foil tape. So where do you want it to be hanging. So this position also you need to check now only. If it is like too low, like you can't have it too low like that, just the finger gap is not enough. What happens now, you will be putting that fondant slab here and at the bottom as well, and that will take up some gap here. So just keep it a little the height from this base till where the base of the swing could come. Okay, so how much is there? My finger is like it's like almost 1.5 inch. Okay, so if the penguin comes and sits here, just in case, like anything comes and sits there for that matter. Okay, so now here, just make sure this width and this width is quite almost the same. We can adjust it later, but that's what we are aiming at. This gap should be there. Okay, and so there's this wire. I'm just going to connect with it. Just go around and twist it together. It just stays there. Okay, and I'm just going to go around and keep twisting it along the wire just to be safe. Okay, and I'm going back here to the top. And it will be good if it is the same wire, because it doesn't get disconnected and then come out. You don't want that. So I'm going to do one more round, which is like I'm going in and out. Just giving it that little extra stability. It's not going to cut off by itself and then fall down. No, it will not happen. But just to make sure the wires doesn't come out, we are going to still add more stability by sticking them with foil tape and all that. So that fear is also not there here, but just to make sure they'll just be stable. So I'm just binding them together. This is called binding the wires, right, in the electrical or the hardware terms. The shape, don't worry now, we'll put them back in place. So I'll just do one more round. I come all the way till here and then cut off the wire. Cutting it out here. Just whitening up a bit. Checking. Okay, so that will be the basic armature. For the wire structure for any modeling or sculpture that you want to make, you call it armature. So that is how it is going to be here. I just put these wires together because I don't want it to be like really white. Okay, so that will be the basic. Now, as I said, any metal part, when it comes to a non-edible metal stuffs like that. Now if I'm going to put the modeling chocolate just right on top of this, then you know the logic of edible touching the metal, is it food safe, no food safe and all that is going to come into picture. So whenever you have such armature, that whole thing has to be made food safe. So aluminium covering with aluminium foil is one way. So that is the, you know, the foil tape. I can go ahead and tear it up, that works as well. I'll just take a small part, but that's a whole big roll. I can just keep using as and when I need. And now let me just start with covering the top part, for which this entire sheet is not really needed. So I'm just going to go tear up some part of it. I'm peeling off this. I'm going to start here and stick. So that because there's glue in that tape, it will stick for me. So when you do that with an aluminium foil, it wouldn't stick. Okay, so that part, so what happens, there's glue and it will not let that wire move for me as well. Okay, so now tearing up. So this is a bit longer process to cover up that whole thing, but I am going to do it because I don't want you to think that you can skip this part. This one was, you know, testing my patience, trying to remove it off because it was eating up the time. So what if you don't have, you know, the foil with the tape? You can use any, you know, sticky glue inside, but make sure the glue doesn't show out. That's not a good idea at all. You can use edible glue, but it is going to take some time for it to stick. Here, let me try the foil that doesn't you know, have the glue, the regular one, and see how it is sticking. So it's a regular foil, this doesn't have the tape. Okay, so I'm just going to use it around here. What will happen is just keep wobbling and moving. Just keep wobbling, but then it will cover up, it will do what is needed. But see here, this just stays, right? This doesn't wobble, but this one will wobble. So for right now, I'm not sure how many would have that, you know, the one with the glue, the tape, the aluminium foil tape. So if you don't have, I think you can use this regular foil and make sure you press it well. Okay, and don't give gaps. I'm right now pressing it. Don't give gaps, so you can avoid that little bit of wobbling, but I'm sure that there's going to be a bit of wobbling there. Okay, so this basic armature thing is done. I'll just cover that one tiny bit. I'm not sure if you can see. There's that little wire that's seen. Okay, so once this is done, now let's start covering up the trunk part. This also has to be covered with fondant or your modeling chocolate, or the paste that you're using, or even fondant. Okay, so like for penguin, I am using Anna Austin's modeling paste. You can use Gumpaste as well. So I've just taken out a portion. Let me just move this a little further ahead so I can show you what I'm doing with my hands as well. So I've just taken up a portion of the modeling paste from the pack, and you need to knead it really well. Okay, I'm starting with white because the one that I've made for the model, that I started with white and then painted it up later. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this up. Now I need glue. Which is edible glue. I just shifted my table to another one where I can just have this, that straight view. So some of my stuff is there on my table, and this is my daughter's art table where I just borrowed her place. So I can just have this view, because all this to be shown in the top view is not easy to even watch. So I'm just applied the glue onto this. Okay, so I'm just roughly making a sausage. You just don't have, because it's tree trunk, you don't have to really roll it and all. If you really want to, you can do. But it's convenient for me to just show that random shape that I'm making right in front of the camera. And I'm just going to start from here, then just cover up. Cancel. Okay, so I'm just now my goal is to cover up the foil. Later, how thick I want the trunk and all that. So this gap in the front, just because it is the tree trunk, I'm taking the liberty. I can just keep adding. There could be excess glue there, so it could stick by itself. If it doesn't stick, then you need to brush up some glue. Okay, so here we try and use as less paste as possible. What happens is, if this part becomes heavy, then if this styrofoam doesn't hold the tree in place, this whole thing will just fall off, because if you are going to add more weight here, also you will be adding the plate here, right? That also will be heavy. So now we are working on the dummy, and so this is just a stand that you are placing and working. But later on, this whole thing has to be lifted up, and you need to be poking this on the cake, right? So when you poke it on the cake, and if your cake is soft, the balance and the weight could cause the swing to slide towards one side, that is the bent side. So what do you do? As I'm just brushing and I'm just going to apply this all over, let me just talk a few pointers of how you need to be applying this on your cake. So what you need to do is, you need to poke using the same wire in the cake, in the position of where it needs to be placed. Okay, and that will make one hollow gap in the cake, right? And in that gap, if you're just going to insert this wire, and if the cake is soft and if you just use good amount of sugar syrup, or if that's a soft filling inside, and even if not, even if it is some sturdy cake, but still it has the risk of just sliding through this wire inside the cake, will just move or slide from its position. So what you need to do is melt some compound, dark or white compound, that doesn't matter. But why I am mentioning compound specifically is, if you are going to melt your chocolate, then it needs to be tempered. So if you know tempering, then you can temper and use your chocolate. But if you do not know tempering, then it is best to use melted compound, because they don't have to temper, because once you make it and then you melt it and then you use it to any shape, you let it dry in any shape that you want, it is going to set in that shape. So you need to melt the compound and pour that melted compound in your piping bag. Okay, and insert the tip of the piping bag in that gap of the cake where you've inserted this the copper wire, the thick copper wire. I made a hole in that cake. You need to pipe in the melted compound in that gap. Give it a little time for that chocolate. If it is like too liquidy, you don't want that to be oozing out of the cake, right? Just give it a little time for that to set a little bit. And once it is kind of soft, like maybe 5-10 minutes should be good for that. And once that is done, you can insert this inside and hold it for some time, or on top of the cake, like maybe I'm not sure if you can have some stand or something, a weight or something like that here, so it doesn't shake up and all that, or you can manually hold it for some time. Giving the time for the chocolate to set inside. So once the compound chocolate means your compound, so once that is completely set in the hole, that will hold this copper wire in place, where even if you have to make it and then kind of transport your cake and all that, you don't want to swing to get fallen down by the time it's getting delivered, right? So this step of putting your melted compound inside that hole that you created, that should be the same size and thickness as your copper wire, and filling that with metal chocolate or metal compound here, and inserting once the chocolate is a bit set, is very important if you're going to keep this swing on your cake, and you're going to let it transport, or even if it is going to be in your house itself. And if you don't do that there, and if it is going to stay there for like 2 hours or so on the outside, it has high tendency to slide down. So on the dummy, it doesn't matter. It can stay in the dummy because it will be sturdy. But if it is on the cake, you need to take that extra step. It's kind of rolling a little bit. They've applied glue already, so I'm just hoping that bottom I'm just going to roll and have a sheet. It could be like a panel. It's going to be like a wooden plank. Okay, so this side is kind of thin, here it's kind of thick, so I'm just going to I'm just thinning it down because the other side is, you know, quite thin. It's good if it is thin, so I'm just cutting this excess off. So here I don't want this excess to be there because that plank is going to come and sit here, so I just need some space here on the sides as well. So this part, just trying to smooth it out a bit. So on the top and sides, except this bottom one, you just want to cover the whole thing with and because we'll be making the, you know, the tree trunk pattern, it doesn't have to be like really very smooth. Okay, so I just need to get this plank done. I'm just going to try if I can roll it on this because now I don't want to change the angle. I put it upside down, showing you how I'm going to roll it. I'm just needing some same modeling paste. Making a ball, I know that plank is going to be rectangle in shape. You don't want it to be like really thin as well and not too thick as well because it is going to be heavy. It's just going to make it heavy. So I'm bringing this one back. I'm just going to check how much I would need. Okay, so that should be good enough for me. I'm just marking down where that, you know, the bottom wire was. Hopefully you can see. Okay, so I'm just going to put on top of this and I'm juggling to get my tools from there. Okay, so that will be the marking, right? So I just need to cut out. You just want it to be a little extended from the center thing. So it's marked from here to here. So I just want to, cut on both the sides, giving it some gap. Okay, and here it can be an odd shape or it can be a proper rectangle as well. And because it is wood, you can you really don't have to make it like a proper rectangle and all that, because we are going to give it the wood trunk texture on this. So let me just work on the texture a bit. I'm just making some wooden texture which has some eyes and all, which is this that what I call like an wooden planks eye shape. So I'm just getting the edges done. Okay, and this center part should go into the wire, right? So here I would be needing a cut. You want to open this part out, similarly to this side. Okay, so I'll just tell you why you need to do that. Okay, so now if this part is there with me, I'm bringing the swing right in front of me. Okay, so here now on that foil I need to apply glue on the top and then here on the sides as well. So this one is just for the top at the moment. Okay, so now there's this cut that you made, right? So this you allow it to pass through the wire. Here again the cut is there, right? You just let it pass through either sides of that the wire and hold it together. Because there's glue, you need to just hold it together. Like here as well, just hold it together and stick. So because it is not dried, if I was doing it like without the life, I would let this plank dry out in my surface for some time. Because it is not dried, you see it's just kind of flopping down, which you don't want. You just want it to be stiff and straight. Okay, so you can leave the bottom wire, but that foil is there. It's not good that it keeps showing up. So now the bottom can have a very thin layer. Okay, so I'm just rolling it. It's just to cover up that foil. That will not add any stability. What is adding the stability is that wire there, and that plank is sitting right on top of it. If the plank is kind of dried up and if we have stuck it there, it is going to just stay there as it is. It's not going to change its shape. So right now what I'm going to do, place this under and see how much I need. Okay, so I'm just going to place this under. Okay, and use my knife tool to gently mark if I need to cut, where I need to cut. So I need to cut it here, I need to cut it there. I'm not cutting it, I'm just gently marking. And if it's very thin enough for me, so it just gets cut by itself, well and good. because there's glue, it's kind of sticking. Okay, so this side we have already cut. So this side, let me just cut it off. Okay, and now I can apply glue on this itself directly. If there's excess, I will cut it out. If it's right in front of you, you can just hold the the dummy in your hands to look for the position and see if your placement is all right. But because now I just cannot remove it from that position, um, these extras just needs to be cut, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so the bottom, I don't know if you can see. Okay, it's just sealed. Sorry. So you don't get to see the foil anywhere, it's just kind of closed. So say suppose you are working like maybe you have something else to do, maybe you've just kept it here, you can find for yes, you can find for something that can stay here and then hold this in place. I just can't find anything. I hope you get the idea. It can be your just have these veiners, they'll hold, something like that. Okay, so you can find something so it can just stay without moving or changing the shape, and then it can dry while you are maybe working on your because there's glue there, but still you just need to give some time for the glue to dry, right? So you can just have that little support until you're working on the trunk. Okay, so now the plank is done and that whole thing is done. Now sorry, the next thing that you want to do is to build your trunk. So once your trunk is built and you have your the tree trunk texture on the tree, then you will be ready to give it the color. Okay, so now for the tree trunk I am needing the paste. Okay, so these are sausages, right? So I'm just going to place it down here, so before which I need to apply glue. I'm just going to start placing sausages all around and try and build the base of my tree a bit more. And right now I'm also trying to add more weight here, so this doesn't take too much weight and then try and slide towards one side. That also you don't want. Okay, so the glue part is done, and now I am just sticking. Then I will use my dressing tool and create the textures. So I'm keeping the thinner part to the top and the thicker ones to the base. Very thin ones, right next to this, uh, part of the swing, because I don't want to increase the bulk here. Otherwise, this gap will get narrowed down. You can use the help of your Dresden tool as well. I'll be adding some more here and increasing the bulk. But right now I'm just checking if I've just covered up. I think I'm just hitting the camera every now and then. I'm just finding gap in between the camera stand and the workplace. Okay, so now I also want to cover the top. So let me just make the sausage behind the camera. So I will just try not to hit. So here you just really need to work on thin strands, because you don't want to make that side heavy. You want the trunk part, this part heavy and not this one. Okay, so the rest I'm just going to work with the Dresden tool. And here I just need to add some more. So I'm just having some sausages here to just increase the trunk part. This part I'm just going to widen up. So you need a little bit of glue if it doesn't stick by itself. So I'm just adding glue because it's not sticking over there. Just one last part before I move to the Dresden tool. Okay, so I'm going to use this, the narrow pointy side of the Dresden tool, and then start creating. I'm just going to draw over some lines. As I do, I'm just going to blend. Hopefully you can see. Let's get it closer. Just see whichever is easier. You start from the top, or you want to hold it like this and start from the bottom. So either ways, this is the side that you are using. You cannot use this side. You cannot, find out like that. It is not going to be easy. This back side is what will give you those lines. So if I want to do it from the bottom, I just need to change the angle, but still this back side is the side that I will use. So I'm just trying to retain these dents that was formed between the sausages that was added, right? So those ones can still remain as those deeper dents, and once on top of the each sausage that we added, that can be the not so deep indents using the Dresden tool. We just don't want to, now that there is a good amount of pressure, this that stand or support that is given there is essential. Or also you cannot just try and put pressure there. You need to be holding it, and so the pressure is there on your fingers and hand, and not the structure inside. On this also you need to spend some time. I know this, the wooden thing is like, okay, it can be random, it doesn't have to be neat, and all that is acceptable, but then at the end of it, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be neat. It just means that the tree trunk has very rustic look, but to get that rustic look you have to spend that extra time. It's not that you can just leave it half done, or kind of, even if it looks messy, you can't leave it out, but you just need to work on with your the Dresden tool until you get that look of the tree trunk. So just go around, because you've done on one side, it doesn't mean you don't have to go to that spot and then, you know, look on it again and see if it is fine or if it needs more work. So okay, spend some time on the trunk when you're doing, and just make sure you are happy with the tree trunk's texture that you have. Okay, so let me just stop there. Okay, I will retain this support until I finish. I have a turntable which I'm just rotating to go around and check. Okay, and now this needs to be allowed to dry. Right now, I don't have the time to allow to dry, right? So this is quite not very sticky, but then it will be really nice if you are going to allow it to completely dry. So I have the paint palette with me. So like I said in my previous lives, I'm running short of my brown gel color. So if you have a gel color, you can use a brown gel and then dilute it. So right now what I have with me is brown petal dust. So the one that you saw, the model that I made is brown petal dust only, and I'm going to use water also because my wood was short. Okay, so the brown dust is here. I'm just going to pour some water. You can see both of them. Okay, so that's a flat brush. I'm just going to take some water and mix it on my brown dust. Okay, so I am going to continue adding the darker version, and say if I want a lighter version, I'll put my brush here and then take more water and then dilute it. I want another diluted version, take from here in my brush, add it here, and then add more water, and that will be another concentrate of lighter concentration of the brown. So the dark, and then it goes, and if I want a lighter most, then this water itself is just gotten a little light brown. So I'll be playing around with different shades of the brown, and I'm using petal dust. But right now, because I cannot show the palette and the swing together in the same frame, I'm going to remove this off, keep it away, and then get the swing here. And now I'm touching the darker version. So I'm just going to go in, and then it's not like too dark. So if you are using your gel color, you definitely need to dilute it. Start with lighter color, okay, and then as you go, you can just see if you want darker in few places you can add, but definitely start with lighter. So see, it's just little soft here, but prefer to let it dry for some time. And if I feel my brush is kind of dry and the color is not enough, I need to add more water and dilute the gel and then use. I'm adding some more petal dust because I will be needing a little more. I am mixing the water. That will be one dark version, but having a different shades in few different places of the same tree trunk is fine. We can kind of adjust and get the the lighter shades by brushing it with a little bit of water. Like this is just the water, touched the brush in water. Oops. So I'm just going to continue brushing the brown. All the places that I see white, I'm just going to brush it brown first and then take a look at how it looks, and if I need more darker shades then I will add darker shades, or if I feel like it is like too dark then I will just use the water or vodka or evaporates and kind of remove off the darker shades from in any area that I feel like is like too dark. So if you are using the gel color, just make sure it's not too dark where you tend to add a very dark version of the brown. So to dilute it, add quite an amount of evaporates vodka or water itself, and cover up all the white places with brown. So you might tend to leave out just a little bit of white surface. Just keep a watch and keep looking like where is that white spot, where is that white spot. Just go look underside and cover up. Okay, so now on the underside of this one, um, there is white spot, right? For right now, if I just remove it off and if I'm going to add the color, I may not be able to place the support. For right now, because we almost come to the end, I'll just remove it off. It's quite soft, but that whole thing you definitely need to let each part rest well. Don't hurry, or you will have this, because if you hurry you finish the whole thing off in an hour or so and then take pictures. Then after you've taken the pictures, it's just going to fall off, which you really don't want. so I'm sure you can't look underside, but I'm just bending down. I'm just doing it to, you know, also let you know that it is quite important to go underside. I'm just sticking that up. Okay, so now this whole thing needs to be dried. Okay, but then it stands straight to my eyes. Okay, then what I did some that I'm not going to, you know, I don't think I'll be able to really show you well. I just added the, you know, the flowers, right? But then you can just make, say, maybe you can call it apples. These are just add-ons. That is sticking because the you know, the paint is still wet. If that whole thing is dried and you want them to, you know, stick, you need to have edible glue. I'll just bring the other one that I made. So let's just compare and see. So it's quite sturdy. But so okay, so now you can just start asking me questions that you have. So because I had the copper wire, and because you know, both of them copper wire, and I was able to do. And now if you guys have to make, you just tell me if you have any doubts about making them. There could be some green leaves and all that. Okay, so now I'm not sure if this place is enough, but let me try. Okay, so this, because you know the width is just not enough, but they are sitting there but next to each other and then facing each other and all that. And the other one that I made, the, you know, the width was a little bit more, and so it was just able to stay. Let's try and put, if I'm able to put both in the frame. Yeah, both in the frame is not going to be enough. So this one, it is like really long, and that one is not that long, right? Okay, for how much time should we let it to dry? How much time to let it dry before 3 hours at least. If you're working in AC, at least 3 hours will be good. Can I use dark and white compound chocolate and sprinkles instead of apples? No, you want to make it look like it is a tree, right? That is a hurried job. I really don't like that. But this one is really nice. You know, the tiny flowers. So what I used to cut, you know, let me just make them sit in this. I'll show you what cutter I used. So this is the cutter I had used, which is at smallest blossom plunger, and I had just cupped them out to place. So when you are making it like a tree, obviously the sprinkles may not be a right option. Ma'am, can we have any other wire instead of copper wire? As I said, I also made it show, right? You can, for the tree trunk, you can put together like 5 to 6 18G wires, 18 gauge wires, and tape them together and make it thick and sturdy, and then use them in place of the copper wire. And for this too, you can add, you will watch the video again like how I've made. I have showed how to use 26G wire, join them together and make a longer wire, and then build this part up. Okay, and how did I get the grass? That was some leftover biscuits that I had. You can use your milk bikis or Mari biscuits or your cookies that you have at home. And the green color is, I poured the green gel color in the jar of the mixie and the powder together, and I processed in the mixie as fine as possible, and I had to keep adding the green gel color more and more, like 3-4 times, to get the exact shade that I had liked. Okay, so that's the grass thing. So everybody has doubts on the grass only. That's just biscuits with I just show. But I had applied glue as well. I had applied glue, and it's kind of stuck. And the raw sand color part that you see here and there is just a biscuit without any color. Okay, I still have the jar, the mixie jar. Let me just show. So it's just the powdered biscuits and green gel was added in it. Okay, so that's the grass. And instead of copper wire we explained. And what is modeling paste? Modeling paste is nothing but another version of gum paste, or fondant and all that, but then this is not quite good to roll and drape a cake, but it is good enough for making modeling, where all the textures and whatever you create, the shape and the textures and whatever modeling, like you make a dimple and all that will stay. But when you make such dimples on a fondant, it may not stay, it will just bounce back. So modeling paste is specifically used for modeling sugar. Okay, what can be used instead of thick copper wire? Instead of thick copper wire, 5 to 6 18 gauge wires taped together and make it sturdy enough. Just watch the video like how I'm bending. What you have, the 18G wires should be as sturdy, like 5 to 6 18G wires should be sturdy enough that it bends and stays in place, even if there's a little bit of weight that could pull it down. So 5 and 6 together taped down will be good enough. Instead of silver foil, can we apply cello tape? The initial one holding that, we had just twisted the wire on the top, right? For that one part you can use the cellophane tape and stick it well, so the wires will not move. Because if you're using a normal aluminium foil, like what Neeru asked, that's a valid question, because if you don't have the tape, then the wires will just move. Okay, so you want the wires, whatever you've twisted, to be held together. So you can use your cello tape, or you can also use that surgical plaster. Johnson's plaster tape is there, no? That is also a good option. Or you can also use the electrical insulated tape, I think, that also. So you cover up that whole thing, so the twisted wire that was there sticks in place and it doesn't move later. So once you've stuck it using a tape, and then you can cover it with aluminium foil to make it edible safe before you are covering it with the modeling paste. Okay, ma'am, when the wire was inserted in the dummy, it was not made safe. In case of cake, you told to melt compound to insert the chocolate. Will it be direct contact of wire? So we'll wrap the foil before inserting the white compound. Yes, Salini, that's a good question. You can also you can aluminium foil, cover it with aluminium foil, and then you can dip that aluminium, the wire which is covered with aluminium foil, you can just dip that whole thing in white chocolate and then let it dry. Or you don't have the time to let it dry, because it is all hanging and you can't let it lie down flat also. So you cover that with aluminium foil, and then after pouring the chocolate or the melted compound, you can insert that aluminium foil covered wire into the cake. Where can you find aluminium tape? In Amazon. But right now I'm not sure about the deliveries and all that, but you can just search for aluminium foil tape on Amazon. You get that. How to use compound chocolate for this. Lata, I've explained in the video in the beginning of when I was just covering the whole thing with white modeling paste. I had explained how to melt the compound, put it in a piping bag, and then pour it inside the hole that is made in the cake, and let it set for some time, and then insert the copper wire, and hold it for some time so the melted compound sets, and so that the wire that goes inside the cake is sturdy. Can you make that flower? Let me try. Okay, so this is the cutter. This is the cutter that I used, right? So I just don't have the proper setup here to cut. So I just rolled out this red paste, okay, and I've cut it out, okay, and then I need the foam pad. So the flour, I'm just going to put it on the foam pad. Let me just bring the ball tool. So because it is the smallest size flower, right, I am just picking up the small ball tool. Okay, I just tried to use the smaller size. I didn't quite like it, so I am using this one, which is quite smaller than the regular ball tool size. Hopefully you're able to see. So I use this ball tool. I just go around in a circular motion, first on the edges, okay, so I'll just thin the edges, and then in the middle I'll just keep my circular motion quite small, and that way what will happen, it will kind of cup for me, so that flat flower will just become, I'm not sure if you can see, it just becomes a cup shape, okay. And then this I had used glue. Where can I stick? So when you stick it, apply. Okay, and then the inside is kind of tiny bit of white, nothing more, because I was running short of time as well. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue there. Tiny white, same paste. I did use a forceps to go inside. That sounds a little too way too big. What I had used, the sizes that I had used is kind of a little smaller than that one. And then I used a small ball tool. This is not a ball tool, it's just that knife tool. I used a ball tool to just make one hole there, but because this is a pointy tool, I'm just making like too many holes. So that's the flower. Okay. Thank you for the efforts. Thank you so much. Or a double-sided tape will not work because that is too thick. You can't do that. A cello tape is, I think, quite handy. How to stick the figures on the swing so that they don't fall off? You need to use glue here. Right now I'm not going to do. Here you apply the glue and then you make the doll sit there. And once the glue dries, they'll get stuck. They'll not move. They'll not fall. Can we cover the foil with cinnamon bark for a lighter version? Cinnamon bark is not sugar modeling, no. But you can do that, but it could become another form of art. But they have to stick together and they shouldn't be falling down. You can try, maybe have one small thin version of the modeling paste, and then maybe poke your cinnamon box all around it, but I'm not sure of how the final look is going to be, but you can try. Instead of modeling paste, can I use fondant, Deepali? Yes, you can use fondant, gum paste, modeling chocolate, or mix of fondant and gum paste. You know, any paste that you feel like you can use on it, anything works good for this. Okay, so that's it with the doubts. Okay, I think tomorrow is wafer paper filler flour. So then see you all tomorrow with the next session. That will be day 14. And thank you guys today for staying there, watching with me. And when you make it, but just give some time. Don't be in a hurry to paste before things dry out. Take time, and then, you know, once they dry up, and then you make and post it. Okay. So when you make and post it on the Instagram as well. Though I have not gone live on Instagram, but you still can post it on Instagram and tag me. I will reshare it and put it on the Instagram stories. I will share it again, and when you make it on the Facebook, you could tag me and they post it on the Cakes Unplugged by Fondbites magazine Facebook group, and we just have the entire community seeing your work. Okay, thank you then. Bye bye.